I don't really think about them. I mean, the appropriate multiple for a business relative to the S&P will depend on what you expect that business to achieve in terms of returns on equity and incremental returns on incremental equity versus that S&P. I mean, if you've got two types of businesses, and we'll say the S&P earns X on equity and can deploy an additional amount of capital at Y, and then you compare that with any other business, and that's how you determine which one is cheaper. I would not characterize all banks as the same. I mean, we have in this room John Forlines, who runs the Bank of Granite, North Carolina, and they've earned 2% on assets without taking any real risk for decades, and it's a tremendous record. And then you have other banks that have been run by people that took them right into the ground. I mean, whether it was First Pennsylvania going back 30 years ago, I think it was John Bunning, and they're not a homogeneous group. We own stock in a couple of banks. We own stock in M&T that has an exhibit downstairs today. We own stock in Wells Fargo, and we think those institutions are somewhat different than other businesses. So I don't think it goes back to that earlier question. People always want a formula. You know, they go to the intelligent investor and they think, somewhere they're going to give me a little formula and then I can plug this in and then I'll make lots of money. And it really doesn't work that way. What you're trying to do is look at all the cash a business will produce between now and Judgment Day and discount it back at a rate that's appropriate and then buy it a lot cheaper than that. And whether the money comes from a bank, whether it comes from an internet company, or whether it comes from a brick company, the money all spends the same. Now the question is, what are the economic characteristics of the internet company or the bank or the brick company that tell you how much cash they're going to generate over long periods in the future? And I would come to very different answers, on M&T Bank versus some other bank. So I wouldn't want to have a single yardstick or relative PE